So the next speech is a very highly debated speech because anyone with an activity wants and aims at being among the first items when a Google search is initiated. So we'll now talk to someone who's an expert in this kind of search activities. We're talking about Aleyda Solis, award-winning international SEO consultant, speaker, and author. She will talk about SEO efforts to make travel sites more accessible. Let's move on to the introduction, the musical introduction, and then we'll leave the floor to her. Hi, Aleyda. Nice to meet you. Welcome. Welcome to our Salone dei Cinquecento. We will be following you with great attention because this is a highly debated and hot topic. So we'll hear you and see your slide at the same time. The floor is yours.
For the opportunity is amazing to be able to share with you today. My presentation today want to highlight those, let's say, challenges that we tend to face nowadays when trying to maximize the organic search visibility of travel websites in particular. And then on the other hand, the opportunities that we can certainly still leverage to maximize also, let's say, those opportunities that we can easily identify and that certainly still exists, even if the travel industry is one of those sectors that are quite competitive, right? Then on one hand, we can see already that the trend of travel-related searches is again growing. If you go to Google Trends, if we go to any keyword research tool from SEMrush, SEO tools, whatever tool that you're using, we can see that the trend of searches regarding to trips, travel, tourism, etc., is again on the rise. And then on the other hand, we know that historically, major, bigger travel websites have well leveraged the organic search visibility and the channel itself to bring a lot of revenue, a lot of conversions. This tends to be users also that are more actively searching for services and products that will tend to also convert better. But then on the other hand, we also have these challenges in SEO as a sector, right? Like it was a few months ago that I asked all the SEO colleagues in a Twitter poll where I have 100,000 followers, what was that share of projects that they saw that tended to have real wins, that tended to realize and were considered to be success by clients and decision makers, right? And it was shocking to see that only 14% answered that more than 85% of their projects were considered to be success, were considered to be like those type of projects that you will say, okay, this is an actual SEO success. You achieve the results. There's a positive ROI out of all of these efforts. So yes, we have a huge opportunity that is on the rise again. Then on the other hand, we can see that it's hard. And a lot of SEO specialists are finding themselves with challenges to reach to those results that we all seek to look for, right? The reality is that it is only becoming more difficult by the time, right? Like I also asked over another poll about if SEO today is more challenging than it was 5 years ago. And yes, most of the people who answered the poll mentioned that it is indeed more challenging, and there is a variety of reasons. And the three major ones is that there's definitely a higher maturity in the most popular sectors, especially. And of course, there's a bigger competition across most profitable industries at the end of the day. If we search for queries like hotels in Rome, for example, or hotels in Firenze or in Milano, we will tend to see the huge global players, aggregators ranking in the top positions. And this type of websites tends to have a huge authority because of all of the links, all of the backlinks that send votes of popularities that Google take into consideration to rank them better. So even if sometimes their content quality and comprehensiveness and uniqueness is not necessarily the top or the best, they will tend to perform better than other smaller players, right? So it's certainly a challenge that many smaller players can face. Then, on the other hand, we know that nowadays it's a little bit more difficult to attract the type of visibility and attention and clicks that you want from users in search results, even if you rank in the top position. The reality is that there are not 10 blue links anymore, that we have the local map, the images results, we have videos, carousels, we have also other type of product related with Google also that are brought in search results. There are a lot of factual searches that are answered directly in Google search results. So users don't need to go to other websites to fulfill their need anymore. So it's certainly a little bit more challenging because of all of these reasons to grab the type of clicks and attention that you want from search results. And then on the other hand, we also have users becoming more sophisticated. Users don't search for hotels in Rome anymore, but they search for 5-star hotels, boutique hotels in Rome that are in the city center, right? Like the searches are more sophisticated. The users know that if they give more details, they will get more accurate, more specific, more granular type of results. And we can see this even in the click-through rate behavior. There are tools like the ones that I'm sharing here from Advanced Web Rankings that actually show how is for certain type of results, when we have, for example, the local map or certain type of search features, the users will tend to not even click necessarily more in the second position, but more in the third one, because depending on how the results are shown, it might attract more of their attention, or they know that this type of results is more like aligned with what they really want to, right? So we are not anymore in that era where ranking the first position all the time was the solution to grab more attention or more clicks anymore, right? So it's a little bit more complex than that nowadays, right? So how can you win with all of these challenges, right? Like there's opportunity rising now again, but yes, there are certainly challenges as we can see. So the first step always, and I promise I won't go into technicalities here. I will keep it as simple as possible for non-SEOs, but at a very high level, right? Like the first step of any winning SEO process is to identify and connect with the way that our users search. Our audience, our potential customers, we need to understand their search behavior through the whole buying journey. And the biggest problem that I see again and again, websites and decision makers doing is like obsessing over the top term in the market. Hotels in Rome, yeah, like travel to Milano, yes, but Booking is there and TripAdvisor is there. Like there's so many queries and users are all the time searching with new queries too. So it is very, very not only interesting and there's a huge opportunity, but fundamental to understand your audience, who when they are searching in the buyer journey, also to establish and create content that you can use to connect, not only to make the final sale of what you're selling in particular, but actually to establish your presence, your visibility, to engage the user and to establish the trust and your authority with the user. Because at the end of the day, even if you're ranking well for the last very commercial driven query, if they don't know anything about you, they will go to the other players that they actually know about, right? Let's remember that the user has become more sophisticated, right? So there's a wealth of SEO tools like, for example, SEMrush, SEO Zoom, that allows you to identify this very long tail of queries out there, informational, transactional, commercial, that users can use to look for through the whole customer journey. We need to identify those that don't have still yet a huge competition that can provide a really good relatively good opportunity to grab more traffic, better traffic that is actually relevant for your products and services. You can also use these tools to do benchmarks, to identify low-hanging fruits for queries for which you're ranking in position 20, position 30, you already have content for, and you're all the competitors haven't yet maximized, and there's still a good opportunity to grab these sort of queries to getting the top 10 results to bring the attention that you want. Then on the other hand, you might say, okay, Aleyda, this is all great. I can do this type of analysis and identify the search behavior, but creating content that engage, content that fulfills, unique content, attractive content, optimized content is not cheap, which is correct. However, it's about, on one hand, prioritizing on those queries that can provide the highest search volume, the best combination of search volume and competition, and increasing trend over time that also have a higher relevance towards your business on one hand. And then on the other hand, it's also about using tools that we have nowadays in content development, content optimization, copywriting field, phrase, neural text are a couple of these two tools. These tools allow us to generate content, leveraging AI a little bit, not to automatically generate this content in a templated, non-unique way, but actually to help support copywriters to accelerate the process, the copywriting and content optimization process. So instead of having to create 10 copies, 10 pages from scratch again and again, to leverage these tools in order to, let's say, re-optimize what can be achieved with the money of these tools, right? Then we have also these other opportunities on search to maximize search visibility through search features for targeted queries, right? All of these type of results with ratings, feature snippets, FAQs, you can actually identify for which search results your content is already shown, but you're not included there. And the same with your competitors with keyword tools, as you're seeing on screen. And like this, you can identify which is the structured data and content format that you can start implementing on your already existing pages to start being included in those search features to maximize and grab the higher attention with images, with videos, with FAQs that you might already have. And it's about implementing the right structured data. And finally, optimize your pages to give the best user experience. Good SEO at the end of the day is very well aligned with user experience at this point, right? Speed, security, mobile friendliness, these are already a ranking factor for Google. They have this page experience ranking signal nowadays on mobile, and in the next year, they are going to release on desktop, right? So avoid having a slow structure, bad user experience websites that will ultimately also negatively affect rankings. There are many tools like the page speed insights that will provide you and will tell you what is wrong with your configuration to start right? And solving these issues won't only allow you to rank better, but also convert better, because at the end of the day, it's about eliminating friction and that your users engage better with your content. And yes, this is a lot of work, but also we have tools like the ones that I'm showing on screen, SEO Testing, CP, that will allow you to implement and test and check if what you're actually releasing works well before releasing anything else, right? So you can start doing this in an agile way with a few categories. And if it all works well, you can release on the next one, right? At the end of the day, this all makes it worthy. It's about results, it's about conversions, and that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aleyda Solis, esperta, specialista nell'ottimizzazione di motori di ricerca.
Thank you, Aleyda. Solis, thank you for being with us.